right. So we are live and very excited for this session. Welcome everyone to the TheAryaPod, where we uncover a lot of business leaders on their journey and especially what exciting they are cooking in terms of building the next big thing. Today we have Vangili, CEO at Brahmarsive, building a lot of exciting products and helping the community across the board. Vangli, welcome to the show. I'm really excited to have this conversation and, looking forward to adding value. First thing first, how are you doing? And if you could just tell us more about, yourself, that would be really great. Yeah.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you for having me here and giving me a platform to talk about the cool things that we have been doing at Brahmarsive. So my name is Vangili Palaniappan, CEO of Brahmarsive. We are a US-based AR/VR platform company with the offices in Canada and India. We've been creating an immersive platform for various industries, specifically focused on healthcare in the last 2 years.
Awesome. Could you tell us about the journey on Brahmarsive? How did it start? What is the key problem you're solving today and how that is going right now for you?
Absolutely. So I think this is about 4 years ago, or maybe a bit more than that, when I first saw the HoloLens at a shopping mall. It just fundamentally made me rethink about how the human-computer interaction is evolving. From being a big screen and bulky keyboard to an iPad to now voice recognition, whatnot. But when I first time put on the HoloLens, the imagination is like wild. We're thinking about the how the customers and consumers interact with the product and services are fundamentally is going to change. It's not going to be just a 14-inch screen anymore. You're actually going to be able to pick up the products, walk around. You can teleport yourself to various scenes. So it's fundamentally changing, and I think the thinking was you can think of any industry, whether it is an education to a healthcare to retail and automobile. We saw potential use case everywhere. So that's where this idea sparked creating a platform for build AR/VR experiences. But eventually we got into the challenge of the user adoption is been very slow. In the last 4 years, the adoption is still slow, but we anticipate as the cost of the device comes down and the size, the bulkiness of the device gets better and better. I think so many companies are already working on that. The adoption will become much larger. So we ran into the issues like non-availability of devices, the lack of adoption, and lack of contents available for immersive technologies. So we decided to democratize some of these capabilities by building a no-code platform where anyone with a creative idea should be able to create an immersive content and publish them to a device of their choice. So that's the whole rationale behind how we got started. But in terms of the problem that we are solving is multifold, and I can pick up one example to talk about, which is healthcare, right? Specifically within healthcare, anatomy education.
Okay.
One of the challenge in that domain is lack of cadavers availability and the ethical and chemicals involved in it, ethical reasons, and students not having enough cadavers to be able to practice multiple times before they learn. So that's something that we are trying to solve. Typically what happens is you have like 20, 30 people around the cadaver table looking at what the anatomist is doing and not having enough lab time to practice multiple times before they actually go into the cadaver lab. So that's something that we are trying to solve using a digital cadaver. I think this technology is amazing to solve that problem.
Great. So if I am in healthcare and especially if I am a student and if I'm listening to this session right now, what should be something that I should be curious about and where Brahmarsive can, upskill my learning what would be those areas in a very simple fashion for them, right?
Sure.
So,
So I think there are a lot of research has gone in terms of using immersive technology for learning, specifically for healthcare, especially cadaver dissection labs. One of the research that shows that the people who used, or students who used the digital cadavers to learn and practice before they walk into the physical cadaver lab, the learning outcome was somewhere 50-60% higher than typically somebody first time walking into the, from a statistical point of view, right? But if you look at the potential that opens up, so you can have a globally distributed team, and pandemic has shown us, where this is really helpful. So I can have a professor, anatomy professor out of Philadelphia, University of Pennsylvania, and have students join from West Africa or India or anywhere in the world. All can be in the same digital lab, physical looking lab, realistic lab at the same time. And students can now learn from how anatomist is performing a dissection on a cadaver. And then they have an opportunity to practice that multiple times, which is not possible in physical cadaver scenario, because you're not going to be able to use the lab multiple times because there are chemicals involved and you don't want to be keep exposed for that very longer time. And
yeah.
this gives you an opportunity to practice multiple times, and it gives you an opportunity to learn things from a different perspective. You can simulate problems, you can see various different diseased organs which are not possible to see it in a physical lab. So it's potential for to increase your learning outcome multifold.
Got it. How different it would be physically being present there and just being in my room and just experiencing it across the platform? Do you think that makes it up across?
I think this is going to be a super realistic, and the one thing that is yet to be solved, which I believe will be solved in near future, is the touch and feel sense. So you won't feel the weight, you don't feel the texture, you don't feel the cold or heat or things like that. Other than that, you wouldn't find any other difference. It's a three-dimensional immersive. You will be able to walk around the cadaver lab. You will be able to pick up the reflector or a scalpel, and you'll be able to perform a dissection just like how you do it in a physical lab. So you wouldn't feel. And the best part is, regardless of where your professor, other colleagues, and students are there, you will feel that they're all next to you, each other, and learning collaboratively.
Got it. I remember one of my friend being learning in the doctor space. I would say, and that person has a lot of trouble learning, especially on the cadaver side. A lot of times being in that room around cadaver with so much of people, that stress along also, and it was not a pleasant experience. That's what he told me. So, do we really believe now that would change? And how soon do you think that is going to change? Any timelines there you feel across different colleges and all?
I think I would ask that question. Do we really want to change that? I think one of
Okay.
the digital cadavers are not meant to replace the physical cadavers. I mean, the end of the day, the medical professionals, the doctors are not going to perform a surgery or a treat
Yeah.
digitally, right? They're not performing a surgery on a digital cadaver. They are working with the real people. So I don't think we can ever replace the physical cadaver, and the stress and the environment associated with that, and the other challenges that comes with the physical cadaver. I don't think that is going to be ever eliminated, because in the real world you are going to be working with that. But what it helps is it augments the scenario. So there are a couple of things
Mm.
here, right? One, we are talking about 20-30 students sharing the lab with one anatomist, and you don't have enough lab time to practice multiple time. This is
Got it.
because you are physically distanced from place, or you have a one lab and you have a less cadavers available, or those are being reused, right? That's one challenge. The other challenge is, especially the chemicals that are used within the cadaver lab. That
Yeah.
might not be the real challenge in the physical surgery or trauma room, but when you're learning it, you're preserving the cadaver for reuse, and there are chemicals used in that. It's just not really good for health. It's harmful to the health. The more you're exposed to that chemical, is bad for your health. So that's the second challenge, right? The third is learning has to be from a standardized way, right? So the cadavers, what you get is what you get. There's no guarantee that it's going to be standardized. And sometimes damaged organs, sometimes diseased organs, and the risk of disease exposure. So you're not learning from a standardized. The fourth challenge is going to be, how do I repeat? Can I go back and learn it again? Should I?
Sure.
How do I demonstrate or visualize the working of an organ? Right? If I go and look at the cadaver,
Mhm.
yes, I can see the organs like heart and liver and pick them up and dissect them and see them, but I won't be able to augment additional information to that, showing that how the blood flows within the heart, and if there is a blockage in the heart, how that will look like. You won't be
Yeah.
able to demonstrate that in a physical cadaver unless you get a cadaver with such disease. So the digital gives you the much more flexibility. It augments, so you
Mhm.
have an opportunity to uh, repeat multiple times and see different scenarios, different simulations, and it is not reading a textbook, but this one is really performing. You're performing a dissection. You're pulling out the gallbladder or whatever, and performing dissection, seeing the internals of it, and then you can
Mhm.
augment additional information to show how the blood flows are and how the particular organ works. With that knowledge, you go back into the physical lab and then listen to what anatomist is teaching. Your ability to observe the concept and retain
Got
that
it.
learning is going to be multifold. I think that's
Got it.
proven multiple times with a lot of research. There are a lot of research data available there out there.
And okay, you spoke about learnings. I was just curious, and your discussion in the healthcare domain. What is that one thing these colleges, universities are seeing, and they're very excited with digital cadaver? What would be that thing? And with also with your conversations happening across these industry where you're thinking Brahmarsive is, and they have been like that wow factor or being so impressed.
I think I don't know. There's so many demos that you're given across the world. So many universities in Europe that you have shown this demo. So many in Asia, so many in the US, right? The couple of things that uh, comes across as an wow factor every time that we show is how easy it is to get going and adapt. um, you know,
Hmm.
uh, the first time, if somebody has used immersive technology, it's very easy for them to navigate into. But someone is new, first time putting on the Oculus or Pico or any other immersive device, and they get teleport themselves into a cadaver lab where they can see like huge lab with 20 cadavers laying, and the people are walking around from their couch. It's just mind-blowing response from them. Like, wow, this is so big and so cool. And then when they start interacting with, you know, some of the quotes that we hear from students is that I wish, and even
Mhm.
anatomists, right? I wish I had this technology when I was learning anatomy.
Ah,
My
okay.
ability to retain knowledge is so much. I have so much opportunity. That's what we consistently hear from students as well as anatomists. And other benefits, things like you're able to adapt these technologies very quickly. I mean, maybe in a day or two.
Mhm.
Into the entire university, not much capital investment. The way we have built it, it drives much more easier adoption than a typical software implementation.
Got it. So if I'm an head of anatomy in some of any university here, and I'm listening to our conversation, and I want to implement Brahmasive offerings, could you just give us a slightly more depth of what all would be included in the setup? How do I go about this? How sooner can I implement this for my students? How many setups are required, so on and so forth?
Sure, absolutely. In terms of infrastructure, there's nothing major setup required. All you need is an immersive device, whether it is a HTC or Oculus or from Meta, Oculus from Meta or Pico. Any of these devices, we support all the devices. You can, as an university, you can buy them in a bulk purchase, and then give it to put them into the library and give it to the students to use it, or you can adopt a model of bring your own device, let
Okay.
the students can buy, because just like buying an iPhone or an iPad, these immersive devices are not that expensive. Can be it's affordable. Students can buy, but you can still control who gets to access and what, things like that. From the university point of view, it's just simply setting up this platform where we provide access to pretty much every aspect of human bodies independently created from head to toe. All layers, all organs are available, so you can independently learn about each one of them. And we also have 230 plus lab exercises
Okay.
covering head and neck, thorax, upper limb, lower limb, and abdomen and pelvis. And every exercise that is available today to learn anatomy and dissection, those are available. So you can straight away set up those and make it available for your students. And then you have a lot of flexibility in terms of course flow, like some universities wants to teach in one way versus the other, how the course flow goes. You have an ability to configure the course flows and to teach, and you can also decide which students to get to access what, and depends on their which year they are studying, whether they are undergrad or postgrad or they're doing research. So you can decide what level of access you wanted to give them. On top of that, from an admin perspective, you have things like the dashboards. Example, you can say this could be a premium service for the university students. So the universities and colleges could decide, hey, if you want to access to this like library material, there's a premium fees to that, and based on that they can provision access for those students. They have ability to manage which student is accessing what exercises and how many times they access, all those analytics and dashboard. And you'll also be able to white label them to reflect your
Got it.
university brand. So it's pretty much you can get go in a day. If you decided to move forward, you don't have to implement a lot of heavy infrastructure. This can be a BIOD, or you can just simply buy them and configure them in a day.
Got it.
That's how that's easy it is to get adopted. And we also have a lot of plans from smaller universities to where you have like 100 students and 200 students, medical students, to thousands of students wanting to access. We have different plans on a monthly subscription, so it makes it
Sure.
easier, less capital, easy to get started, and potential to make it available any number of students.
Got it. So it would be right to say under a week we are good to go. Like,
Yeah,
or
I think so. I think
yeah.
so.
So
Yeah.
amazing. That's pretty exciting, especially in this space. Uh, as we just covered healthcare, any other industry use cases would you like to highlight uh, where Brahmarsive is solving few more
Sure.
areas?
So even within the healthcare, right, we only talked about just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yeah.
Just the anatomy, learning, and dissection, right? The other use cases that we are working on to support the medical equipment manufacturers, right? So every day and every quarter, you see the new processors emerging, new way of doing things are coming up, new devices are being introduced, right? To demonstrate that to surgeons, to demonstrate that to field sales, it's an expensive affair. Even the product development life cycle within the medical equipment companies, right? From an ideation to a field trial to an actual product launch, there's so much steps involved. for every step of that product development, the heavy dependency on physical cadaver. While you cannot avoid physical cadaver to experiment these new devices, you can actually, during the ideation stage, adopt these physical digital cadavers to demonstrate the idea. When the product is ready, training your field sales team, or training the residents and surgeons how to use the particular product,
Product.
let's say pacemaker or whatever. How do you administer the procedure? Those can be easily delivered via Brahmarsive platform. And then
Got
to
it.
a pharmaceutical companies to train the again medical reps on how the particular drug works. If you take a lung cancer, how the infected lung look like, and after administering the particular drug for a certain period of time, how it improves. And you can actually augment a lot of clinical trial data to the improvements, and it is easy for the folks globally distributed to come together and visualize the data in a immersive way, putting the data at the right place around the lungs and walk around and see and explain. There's so much potential within the medical and life sciences industry itself.
Got it.
Right? That is what we are focused on this year. But we also have other verticals where we are working on, which includes aerospace,
Okay.
aviation industry, where pilot simulation, airport twins, digital twins. We've been working on that, and occupational safety for oil and rig, offshore drilling, training the individuals on very dangerous areas before you go in there, getting trained on Brahmarsive platform, retail, car showrooms, immersive construction. There's so much potential out there. The platform that you've created is industry agnostic, even though we are
Okay.
focused on the healthcare content at this point. We also have other teams working on aviation and retail use cases.
And on your personal front, where are you most excited for? Any specific?
I think the
Yes.
healthcare is the one, while from a retail use cases does excite me, but healthcare, the problem that we are trying to solve, we just keep driving, right? One thing that we think about, especially if you take the context of India, a developing nation where 1.4 billion people, and young nation, we have like close to 700 800 million people in the next 10 15 years, moving into 55 plus. The demand for healthcare is going to be so much, right? Even today, you walk into any clinic, any
Yeah.
hospital in India, getting a bed or getting the appointment is not easy. It's crowded, right? Imagine that is getting multifold in 10 15 years. The amount of paramedics, the nursing, the doctors, the surgeon needed is no way closer to meet the demand. And if you combine that with the number of institutions that are preparing the professional for this situation, is very limited. So I think uh, platforms like Brahmarsive and digital cadavers can play a huge role in training those professionals, getting them ready to take on the challenge in the next 10 15 years, which is unavoidable, right? You cannot take on a traditional approach to solve this problem. So you have to adopt digital capabilities. That includes AI, digital twins, and AR, VR, and
Got it.
non-invasive technologies, and all of that, right? Robotic surgery, all has to come together. Telemedicine has to come together to solve and the challenge that is coming ahead in the next 10 to 15
Got
years.
it.
And I can say that across the world we're getting into the similar situation.
Especially, I was more curious now on retail, and would like to just ask you a question, especially for the audience. What is that one use case you might feel, especially like for the normal audience, that the AR VR we would see this year, and there are different companies might be working on it. Is there something you would like to comment?
Sure, I think the AR, more than a VR, I would say AR or XR, has huge potential for retail.
Mhm.
Retail tryouts, whether clothes or eyeglasses to wearables. You don't have to physically visit. You can try out things when you put on a
Mhm.
simple class. I think there are so many coming up now with Meta's Ray-Ban collaboration. There's so many smaller devices coming up where you can augment the physical world with
Mhm.
the digital objects. So that opens up huge potential for retail, right? So I can think of, let's say, if you're buying a mobile phone or electronics or even clothes, watches. You can have a personalized, when you put on this glass, you can have these watch in front of you. You can rotate and you can actually put them on your hand. You can have somebody, avatar, a virtual avatar, so hyper personalized and dedicated and talking to you, explaining this, all from your couch. You don't have to. So I think the how the brands and services reach out to the consumers will
Yeah.
fundamentally get redefined. The reach is going to be more hyper personalized, so it's not a one ad for everybody. Of
Mm.
course, today we can target in a digital world, but this would be like very dedicated focus, especially premium luxury brands where you want to have a influencer coming and introducing the product to their followers, all
Okay.
in an AR mode. Imagine the Instagram and AR, right? Your
Yeah.
followers are seeing what you're doing. So I think the huge potential, the interactability with the products and services is going to be much more immersive and realistic, and it
Mhm.
gives you an opportunity to experience the product, try it out virtually before you can purchase them. And
Got it.
I think I also see the possibility of somebody moving into the buying, the last final pay
Yeah.
when you experience such
I think there are
things.
few brands who are trying this, especially on the pay side. You know, that's crazy. Like, I mean, I also believe it's at the end improving the efficiency and time, the way people are dealing with technology today. Um, Great. In terms of Brahmarsive, Vangli, so what's next? What are we looking at 2025? What are your growth plans? Could you tell us slightly more on it?
Sure. I think 2025 we are purely focused on healthcare domain, various use cases within healthcare, one being anatomy teaching and cadaver dissection, the other being supporting medical equipment manufacturers and the life sciences companies. I think that's kind of what we are focused on
Okay.
in 2025. We also have smaller teams experimenting things for the future that includes building our own AI model, um, especially in the healthcare domain for next year. Which, for an example, you could say um, a 45-year-old woman walked into a trauma room having
Mm.
exposed to carbon monoxide and have a heart condition, having a severe pain on the lower back or whatever, right? You
Mhm.
describe that, and we wanted to be able to, in a simple chat window in a natural language, you describe that, and our platform will generate an immersive experience to accommodate all of these scenarios. So this
Got it.
actually helps various clinical scenarios to be demonstrated and simulated for anybody to learn or experiment, right? So that's something we are looking at next year. And we're also looking at aviation and occupational safety as a two other areas to further our roadmap.
Got it.
That's kind of what the next year plan is.
Seems very exciting. And how do people reach out to you? People who want to get a demo, want to experience the platform. Would you like to just
Yeah,
tell
I
someone?
think you go to our website and request a demo. As simple as that. Go to brahmarsive.com, and submit a request for demo, and someone from our team will reach out and get you a free trial setup to begin. You can also send an email to sales@brahmarsive.com.
Okay.
Or you can just simply go into my LinkedIn profile and book a demo. You can schedule a demo from my LinkedIn, and so as many other team members within our organization.
Got it.
It's exciting to see.
Absolutely. As when we started this podcast, we thought to how do we add a lot of value to startup founders, people who are really building different products and solutions. So, in your space, especially when anyone today who's building a technology on AR VR, are there anything they need to be careful about where they can fast pace their journey, or given a time today, if you do something, what would be the few things that you will avoid as well as do better?
Yeah, I think this is a marathon. This is not a sprint, and uh, there's so many podcasts we listen to, read about entrepreneurs' journey and things like that. These are a few things that I took away from my experience, right? That I want to call out. Um, while I understand the pay fast and sprints and run fast and all that concept, I would step back and look at the purpose that you're trying to. So you have to have the North Star very clearly. Leave the
Mhm.
technology outside for now, but have the North Star, what problem you're trying to solve. And it can evolve as well. Just be aware that even though you have the very clear vision, it will evolve as you learn the market, as you try to solve the problem. You might take it a different direction. Just be ready for such pivots. Don't be set on this is what it is, right? So uh, be flexible and ready to. The second thing I would say is, uh, you know, don't spend too much capital, right? So you have to figure out a way to test things without spending too much money.
Okay.
Especially if you're bootstrapping, not relying on external fund. Even if you're relying on external fund, your ability to work with the um, target market, the is very very important, and test those things early enough before you jump in, right?
Hmm.
Other than that, have the stamina for marathon. I think, especially new techs like AR, VR, sustaining your journey is more important than seeing an early success. So it's a fourth year. We had paying customers. At some point, we decided to let go paying customer and step back and focus on the problem that we are solving than just going after the money. So for us, it's all about sustaining. The adoption of this technology is going to take time, and we need to
Hmm.
be in the market and sustaining it. Right? That's my way of looking at it.
Hmm.
There are different approaches. So in summary, I would say have a clear purpose and be ready to pivot when you learn about what you thought originally as a purpose is not really true anymore. Be
Hmm.
ready to pivot. It's okay to do that. Don't spend too much capital, and figure out a way to sustain for a longer time. You need to, from financially, from energy wise, you need to have that to sustain.
Got it. Great. And any thoughts on? And I personally have seen your journey of having worked closely, multiple brands, right, and scaling them. How do you build culture and sustain, right? Then how do we reach that peak? What do you have to say for that? Any startup founder who are doing at least from 0 to 1 level, what do you have to talk about that?
So I think I realized it so many times, especially recent days. Whether you are a zero, just you and your co-founder, or now 2 years into it, you have like 10, 15 people.
Hmm.
One thing that you have to be constantly looking at is uh, the focus on the thing that only you can do. The rest you have to rely on the team. It doesn't have to be the way you approach it. Just be ready to accept different perspective. and give them that freedom. That
Mhm.
drives the ownership and accountability within the team. So I think
Mhm.
I remember a quote, I think from a book called Principle, written by Ray Dalio from of Bridgewater Associates. Why do smart people around me see things differently than me? They are very smarter than me. They see things differently than me, right? So how do I know I'm right? Right. So I think those are grounding realities, right? So if you have that mindset, and the culture will evolve. There are so many things we do within the organization to create self-governing teams.
Okay.
You have a hierarchy in the organization, but that hierarchy is not to exercise authority, but to help the individual to be successful, and we bring in the process and systems, and that's why we have the hierarchy. Otherwise, it's a flat organization,
Mhm.
and we thrive on being self-governing teams. And we always try to make a culture where there are no order takers. We want teams to take ownership and accountability and understand the purpose of why we are doing something in the product, and take responsibility to deliver that. So there is no managers coming and giving a product direction,
Okay.
or giving them the orders. No, the teams are self-governing teams. So if you are able to get to that, that's the best thing. The organization will grow by itself.
Amazing. How about and this is about you, like running a tech company could be very intense. How do you deal with it, and how do you keep your energy up and running and avoid so much of burnout? Uh, your thoughts on it?
Um, I don't know if it is so much of burnout. If you're just you and two, three co-founders, you set the speed, right? So one thing we have been clear from the beginning when we bootstrapped this, we wanted to run at our own phase, right? So it's more important to have your life than just becoming an successful entrepreneur. So I think you rely on the teams, and focus on the problem that you can solve. You cannot solve everybody's problem, and the things only you can do. So focus only on those. The rest just rely on the team. So I think you should be able to pull it through.
Okay. Moving forward, and since we are almost on time, Angli, I have quick 5 questions for you. If you could just give us insight on any favorite your book, like, or any podcast you really enjoy, uh, you could tell us more about it.
So I don't know if I have. It's unfortunate these days. Things become a snippet size, right? I can't even recollect the one podcast or one audiobook that I listened for hours together, because things get delivered in a snippets and bite size,
Yeah.
and you don't even remember from who, where. You
Yeah.
just get the idea, right? But there are
Right.
some of the books that I liked is the Principles from Ray Dalio, which I was mentioning. I think that's the one of the book that gave me a especially for our leaders to drive the radical transparency within the organization, to ground yourself and to see the purpose, and start seeing things through others' eyes, both from a customer, internal employees. I think that book is something has given me a good grounding, right? I would say. Some of the books that I like, this Think Again from Adam Grant is a
Wow.
good one. I've been doing Zero to One is another one. It's a good book for
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. There's a Zero to One. It's a good one. And the Diary of the CEO is another one. There's a good one. You can do that, but depends on what stage of the journey. From a ritual to being an entrepreneur. It depends on that you can. But I would say I couldn't name a specific podcast at this point, right?
Sure.
Because of how it gets delivered.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has his own way to have different knowledge, and seems great. In terms of technology, any one tech product and not your own that you use daily, uh, what would that be?
Oh, of course, iPhone.
Okay,
Use, and then these days the Copilot AI. So I use that
pretty
frequently,
extensively. Okay,
extensively to you get answers for everything. And that's another reason why you don't go and spend hours reading through books and listening to the podcast, because you get answers instantly, right? So
instantly.
the yeah.
That's so correct. Yeah. Uh, so we are almost on time, and just anything you would like to talk to the our listeners to take away from this conversation. How would you like to summarize? You know, over to you. Yeah.
No, first of all, thank you for the opportunity, Sunil. I think it's nice being on your podcast and share our journey. I think for all our co-entrepreneurs out there, as I said, stay focused and sustain your journey. There's no easy money. There's no sprint. It's a marathon. For our potential customers, I would say, I think the immersive tech has so much potential to solve real world problems, whether it is in a healthcare or in aviation or manufacturing, and being ready for the next, after 5-10 years, how the products are going to interact with the consumer, adapting that into your longer term strategy is very important, whether we are using a Brahmarsive or other technologies. But the immersive way of engaging with the customer, I think, should be part of any large enterprises or even startups product strategy. That's where this thing is moving. I think the AI is helping the journey. It is helping to be more hyper personalized. I believe mobile phones are going to be outdated. The TVs and big screens are going to be outdated. You're not going to be limited with the 14-inch or 85-inch
Mm.
screen or a small phone. So you're going to have a very smaller class, not a bulky equipment like this, a very
Yeah.
smaller one, which will basically replace your screens. So you can bring up a IMAX size screen anytime you want in front of you. You can talk to your device, which can describe and write the emails. So you don't need a monitor, you don't need a keyboard. So I think having these ideas as part of your longer term, long range strategy is going to help you stay competitive in the market, because the consumers are not going to coming into the website and learn about your product. The consumers are not going to walk into the physical store to experience your product first time. So you need to have a physical and digital strategy
Strategy.
to engage with the customers in the future. So that's how I see it.
Awesome. So much of value, I think, for the audience, and great conversation, Wangli, and really heartful thank you for coming down. We are very excited on the journey of Brahmarsive, and we'll keep, personally on my front, I'll keep a watch on your growth journey. Again, big thank you for making this and coming together. And I hope it was great for the audiences who have been watching us. Yeah, and looking forward to many more. Thank you, Wangli.
Thank you, Sunil. Once
Thank
again,
you.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching the podcast till the end. If you like the session or if you have any feedback, be it critical, positive, do drop a comment in the comment section for us. It really helps us to improve the quality, and we know that what is the content you would really love. Also, do share the content with any of your loved ones. They could, scale up their career, do wonders with a very small insight too. So, looking forward to it, and stay tuned for our next session. Thank you.